The top story is coming from the UK once again, and this one is mind blowing. One of the UK police department in the city of Surrey is targeting men. That I already could have stopped there, but they're targeting men for catcalling. And I shit you not. Now, listen, catcalling is fucking stupid, and you got to be a pathetic loser to do that. However, that is still within those men's rights. It's definitely within their freedom of speech rights. And we hurting women's feelings is not a crime. Now, I've reached out to the Surrey Police Department and I said, guys, why did you decide to go with this particular program? That's kind of weird. So they replied by email and they said, well, we launched this initiative because this is the most unreported crime that we know of, and we got to get to the bottom of it. To which I said, well, actually, if you want to look into the most unreported crime, it's usually not catcalling, about jogging. It is usually domestic violence against men. And in the reply, they said, "Oh, we don't want to talk to you anymore." Well, of course, they put it a little bit more politely in this particular message, but the meaning is still the same. As soon as I threw some facts at them that they were kind of full of shit, they ran away. Now, early in that conversation by email, I said, well, why aren't you trying to investigate the crime, that women commit against men? To which they said this. They said there is no recorded data in relations to female predators who target men at public places of this nature. What do you mean of this nature? Shouldn't you go after a crime of any nature? And if you want to go after that crime, then there's plenty. As a matter of fact, the story that came out earlier from the same country of yours was about one of many women who target men on social media, still considered to be public places or dating apps, and scamming them for thousands and thousands of dollars. I covered that story quite recently, but no, somehow they are not aware of this. And listen, this PR department replies, which I think most of them were women who replied to me, are obviously full of shit. This should never happen. But I was going to analyze this a little bit more, but then I came across, one of the few pieces in the mainstream media that cover this. This is from Sky News, Australia, out of all places, and they covered this, I would say, in a great way. So let's watch a little bit of that segment.
These women aren't friends out for a run. They're actually undercover police officers taking to the streets in Surrey as part of a new operation trying to stop people catcalling and harassing female runners.
We get honked at, the staring, the hanging out of the window.
Yeah. Honked at and staring is not breaking a fucking law. This is insane that these people are not only doing it, but then getting in front of the camera and saying, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just going to go after men for staring and honking. Now, by the way, let's also be fucking honest. A lot of women choose to jog and go to the gyms barely in anything, and, we're going to say, oh, Alex, you're victim blaming. Yeah, sometimes I am. But except for these are not victims. Then yes, I'm just blaming women who looking like hoes out there in the parks, jogging, or in the gyms, and then asking for a lot of attention because that's the only reason to put those outfits on. I've seen plenty of workout outfits that are loose and are not sexy, and they cover everything. But those women who picked the, I'll show everybody everything outfits. Yeah, they're asking for attention and they're getting it. So I don't see a problem. But let's keep going here. Let's just be very clear. Honking at women and staring at women is not a crime. Something that Surrey Police Department should be aware of, but apparently they're not.
Window just to look at us, and it's so prevalent.
Police teams are ready to intervene the moment the officers are beeped at, followed, or shouted at.
Are you fucking kidding me? You gonna tell me that you guys went out there and told men, oh, you can't shout at women in public? Are you out of your fucking minds? And yet again, let's remember, that there are plenty of men who are victims of domestic violence that these people, this police department apparently doesn't give a fuck about.
So this is really interesting, Freya. A lot of women are really happy about this. They say they're sick of being harassed. They want to be able to just jog. The way you're looking at me, I think you're going to disagree.
Yeah, the way she was looking at him, you would think she would disagree, being a woman. But let's see what happened next.
The women are very supportive of this.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people are arguing, come on, there's so much crime in the UK, maybe solve some actual crimes rather than concern yourself with things that aren't offences.
Yes, that's right. These are not offenses. They should be solving actual crime instead of doing this bullshit. But the reply from the female reporter is, mwah.
And aren't illegal and unsavoury, but not illegal. What do you think?
Well, that's the thing. So when these undercover police catch people catcalling at them, what are they going to do? Go, oh, you naughty person, stop catcalling me. I mean,
that might just turn them on a bit, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what they've done. They've gone.
Yeah, exactly. But that, you know, you're laughing about it, but that's exactly what fucking happened. It appears that they've approached those men and said, don't do this. And they probably had to, you know, detain these men. I mean, I am surprised this is not under some sort of federal investigation. But again, this is Great Britain.
And explain, and the other thing is people honking their horns at these women, and so police have intercepted them and explained this sort of behaviour is not cool.
I feel like anyone who is going out of their way to catcall a woman probably wouldn't be perturbed by a policeman giving them a warning not to catcall. I mean, clearly they don't care about social etiquette anyway.
I like this girl. This is, I mean, if we would have more women like that, we wouldn't have stories like this. What a very sober perspective from a Western female.
I think this is going to make much of a difference.
Oh, can you imagine all the tradie work sites that they're going to have to go and monitor now? I mean, you know, once upon a time it was sort of a mark of, oh, wow, you know, I look good today. They gave me a catcall because we've moved on.
Now, so I thought, okay, well, the third guy is definitely going to be on the side of feminist bullshit. But this guy's doubled down on that. First of all, he's right. There are quite a, I mean, I think there was even a Saturday Night Live skit about this, how women missed catcalling. They actually took pleasure in getting attention. And listen, the number one addiction that modern women have now is attention and validation. So I would say they probably want catcalling more than ever. But whatever. This guy's great. Let's listen to this guy.
On from those times. But for goodness sake, like, do we really need to be putting police resources into it? And they've actually explained, the coppers over there, why they've done it. And it's not just because, you know, it's an unsavoury thing to do. They are convinced that any bloke who catcalls a woman is a potential criminal who needs to be intercepted.
Those kind of behaviours may not be criminal offences in themselves, but they still need to be addressed. And of course, the people that are likely to commit those kind of behaviours, you know, they may then go on to commit more serious offences.
That is fucking insane. That they're saying that we're going to intervene. We're going to, as a police department, we're going to go and stop this man, right? Detain this man because they might possibly be the future rapists, right? I mean, what the fuck is going on? I mean, how is this on television and that police department does not have a demonstration of people, at least men, around the block? But I guess I know how, is because most men in Great Britain as well as are simps. This is a great example. He's right there on the screen. They do have, and I think this is the police chief. I looked it up. The police chief is a man. I wouldn't probably call him that after this, but he has a penis.
Or more serious behaviours.
I mean, for goodness sake, you know, the police in the UK are clearly on the offensive about offence at the moment. Oh, we've got to make sure women don't get offended by a catcall. We've got to make sure that shoplifters don't get offended by being called scumbags. But
yeah, I mean, and he went on, and this guy's awesome. I'd love to listen to his opinion on pretty much any topic because, and listen, this was pretty surprising, right? I thought, oh my goodness, when I saw this report, it's like two dudes and a girl. This is all going to be very, very bad. But this is probably the most sober coverage of this news. Now, there's not enough coverage of this news, and I don't think there's enough coverage in Great Britain about this news, but this is the most sober way of looking at this. This is not a crime. Police should not be doing this. Police cannot do this. And it is really violation of free speech and men's rights and stuff like that. And targeting men specifically, for me, that is why we're doing this segment. And again, if the reason why they did it is such a bullshit reason, and as soon as I gave them the right answer, they decided to stop talking to me. So, but I did my best investigative journalism to bring you guys at least some conversation between me and the police department, because I like to bring both sides of the story. I gave them a chance to give me some sort of an explanation, and they only dug themselves a deeper hole. Let me take a quick question from a comment, I guess, from the chat. When men have to fight for their rights, just how much we have hit rock bottom. Yeah. The only thing is I think the problem is much bigger here, is because a lot of men don't realize that they don't have as many rights, or those rights have been taken away from them, and they're afraid to go and stand up for themselves. And that's why I have a hard time calling modern men men. They are kind of a subspecies of what used to be men, right? They're simps, they're beta males, and this is why stories like this fucking exist, and I'm one of the only people covering it, really. So it is what it is, and we got to live with it for now. Of course, I hope more and more of us speak up and fight for it, and at some point we're once again going to be equal to women one day, but probably not in my lifetime. I guess we have to start somewhere, and we might as well start it with reporting on this in the correct light. So kudos to those reporters as well. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmenproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.